and board as a backup. Okay, you're good.
Good evening, everyone. Today is June 17th, 2025. This is the Housing, Land Use, and Sanitation and Environmental Protection Committee meeting. The time is now 6:15 p.m. We don't have quorum, but we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rich Reynoso, Chair of Housing.
Oh, my name is Oral Salkowicz, co-chair of Land Use.
This way, right?
Cynthia Rodriguez, Community Board Chair.
Kadara Lowe, member of the Sanitation Committee.
Very good. Everyone read the conduct statement on their own. I feel this is going to be a smooth meeting. I don't need to read it. Review of meeting minutes. I submitted the main minutes to the staff this afternoon, so they'll review it and they'll post it when possible. So look out for that. We still need March and April, so I'll be working on that with the other co-chairs. And thanks, Kyle. You got here around time. Now it's your turn. We have here the Director of External Affairs for the BRC. Kyle, if you want to give an introduction.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Apologies for getting here late. Rush hour. I thought I gave it enough time. We left an hour and a half early, and here we are. I'm here today. BRC stands for Bowery Residence Committee.
Which one?
Bowery Residence Committee.
Bowery.
We actually started in the Bowery, downtown Manhattan.
Oh, yeah, because I said
Yeah.
the Bowery.
A bunch of guys who were struggling with addiction and
Yeah.
housing insecurity decided to support each other. But I'm here today because I wanted to share with you all our plans to develop the building that we recently acquired at 626 Palm Parkway South, Bronx, New York. We actually acquired that building in February 2025. So very recently. Can everyone hear me clearly, or do I need to project more?
No, we hear you.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Full disclosure, before we had a chance to come to the community with a well thought out, thoughtful plan for developing the site, we're already spread that we had acquired the site. So I wanted to use the opportunity to come and clearly outline what it is we're doing and what it is we're not doing. We've already had an opportunity to engage all of the elected officials representing the district, and we also gave a tour for Assembly Member Tapara Jr. And we also had the honor of giving a tour to the chair and the district manager of our Landing Road apartments, which it's not a representation of exactly what we are hoping to do here, but it really outlines what we plan to do structurally and operationally. So just to backtrack very briefly, and please feel free to interject if you have any questions along the way. I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible.
So when you say structurally, what does that mean?
Just like the physical building, like how we build our programs.
Okay, not the physical building itself, but just.
No, yeah, the physical building. I wanted people to get a sense of how well we construct our buildings. We tend to apply a trauma-informed approach, meaning well-lit buildings, lots of green spaces, that sort of thing. We want this thing to feel like home, because that's what it is. It's people's forever homes.
Oh, so it's your design approach, right?
Our design approach, yeah, and our operational approach, like how we function, how we deal with tenants, that sort of thing. So BRC, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're nonprofit developer and social service provider with over 50 years of experience building housing that lasts for people who need it most. We provided services to over 12,000 discrete individuals and over 30 programs across New York City. Nearly 7,000 clients successfully completed programs in 2024 and moved forward to greater stability in health and housing. In fall of 2024, we expanded to 1,100 units of permanent housing, and that represents 30% of BRC's programs. Our goal is to build community where people are not just housed, but they feel at home, as I mentioned. So what's coming to 626 Pelham Parkway South? The current building, as you all know, is the former Apple Bank. That will be demolished to make way for a new 9-story or so affordable housing development that would serve over 100 units of permanent housing. This is not a homeless shelter or transitional housing. I just want to make that clear. It's not homeless shelter or transitional housing. Every tenant will receive a rent stabilized lease and keys to their own apartment. It's permanent homes. We're designing something built to last, a place of stability, community, and dignity. So who will live here? So we're building low-income housing for individuals earning less than $27,000 per year. Around 60% of these units will be supportive housing for individuals with clinical or social service needs, and those will be referred to by the city, who makes the determination that they can live independently. The remaining 40% or so will be available through Housing Connect, the NYC's Housing Connect lottery, with a community preference. I can't tell you what that preference is, because as you know, there's a lawsuit going on right now, and what's the lawsuit? Forgot the group. They were challenging people's ability to give over a certain percentage for people living in the community. But there would still be a community preference. And importantly,
When you say community preference, what do you mean?
people in the community will have preference for the unit. So like if 40% are available through Housing Connect, let's say a portion of that will be for people already living in that community.
What's a catchment for the community?
It's
Catchment.
within the CB11, within the CB11 catchment area. It's supposed to be. But I have a question. I'm sorry. This is Wendy, the chair of land use.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi. So just taking a step back on the affordability side, are there tax credits involved?
Meaning if you can use
For the finance
it
on
and
this
that's-
deal, right? Is there tax credits being
yes,
involved in this?
yes. Mhm.
And is there a syndicator?
I'm unable to answer that question at the moment, but I can certainly follow up with you tomorrow, early tomorrow.
Yes, I would like to know who the syndicator is on this project.
What is meant by syndicator?
I guess whoever's financing it, right?
Right.
Yeah, like within when you do tax credits for developing a project, part of that process has like a syndicator who like manages that between the developer, the lenders, and they kind of work together in that way.
That would be great if we could find that info.
Yeah, that's an important person on that process.
Are there any other people you'd be curious of?
I mean, if you have the lenders too, that'd be great.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I just want to know who's a part of the development team, right? The finance, because
That's a good question.
I know there's certain stipulations regarding this particular project, right? Or this particular building. So I just want to make sure that as a community board, we dot our I's and cross our T's.
Yeah, the map, the transaction map is always good to have if you have it.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
So that category of less than 27, so 27,000 at the max, and what is that for? Meaning one person, two people, family? How does that work?
So not so individuals are earning 27,000 or
Individual.
less. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. So, but nobody will pay.
I'm sorry, the household, that's the household max, 27,000?
So it's individual. So it's
No, I'm still unclear. I'm sorry. I'm still unclear. Wait. I'm still unclear. 27, so the persons living in the household cannot make more than 27,000, that's incomes combined, or just the individuals who work cannot make less
so the
than
individuals who work cannot make more than
So
27.
whoever's on the lease.
Right, correct.
Okay. Can I explain it a little bit?
Go ahead,
So
Linda.
when you have the way that they're doing, I'm just gonna throw out numbers, right? So minimum maybe 27, max maybe 35 for a 1-bedroom unit. Meaning that income, whatever the 27,560 is, it has to be within that bracket or that number, and it can't go over 35. Anything a penny over 35, the person doesn't qualify for said unit. So you may have, for that particular income bracket, you may have only 2 units to service that particular income bracket. Then the next income bracket can be another 1-bedroom to spread it out to like 36,000 to 42,000. So it all depends on how you're setting up, but that's why the finance is important, right? So that we can see how the rents are going to be calculated or what the maximum or the income levels are.
Well, that, I thought he was saying the maximum income level is 27.
You're saying the max? So
That's
what's
what
the
he
minimum?
just said.
So what's the minimum then? If the max is 27, what's the minimum?
So there's no minimum. So there are people who can effectively be making no income, but still qualify for help.
Right. Really? It's homeless.
That's
Formally.
not homeless.
So
That's
might I
unemployed.
suggest letting, like,
Yeah.
I think it
You know
would be
what?
better.
I
if
think
he
we're gonna do it,
finishes
yeah,
the-
let's
the-
do answer,
and
let's do
then we
questions
do the
after.
Questions.
We might
Yeah. Well, write them down, everyone. Let's do that because we're gonna be back and forth. Write your
But-
questions
but-
down, do your presentation after we can ask questions.
Yeah, but more importantly, nobody will be paying more than 30% of their income in rent. So I mentioned 60% would be supportive housing. So just to clarify what supportive housing is. So it's not just a model. We see it as a neighborhood strengthening solution that creates homes built for belonging, dignity, and lasting stability. So they're permanent, affordable housing with on-site support services tailored to New Yorkers facing a variety of challenges such as chronic health conditions, substance use disorders, and so forth. Supportive housing is not shelter or transitional housing. It provides the services needed to keep people housed for good. So the on-site services help residents thrive in their homes and contribute to community life. They'll have access to comprehensive healthcare, life skill coaching from budgeting to nutrition, helping to obtain critical benefits like supplemental security income, Medicaid, Medicare, enrichment opportunities such as workforce development, community art, fitness classes, resident meetings, etc. And so we're going to have staff, 24-hour staff that ensures safety, support, and dignity. So we're going to have a clinical supervisor, 8 case managers, healthcare navigator, an activity specialist, 24/7 desk clerks, and full-time operations team, residence manager, administrative support, and on-site maintenance. And so as I mentioned before, we're going to have, these tenants will have rent stabilized leases, wraparound care to set people up for success, and beyond the housing itself, we also see it as an investment in the community. So in addition to the 100% affordable housing that we're providing, we also will be offering construction jobs and permanent jobs when the program opens. We'll be conducting hyper-local job fairs and local hiring outreach. And we hope to partner with the community board to help us facilitate that, identify anybody in the community who might need a job. We're also going to be doing housing lottery workshops for community members. So for those who want to apply for housing using the HPD's housing lottery, we're going to walk them through how to apply for that, because especially the older folks who may not be particularly computer savvy, just going to show them exactly how they can apply for housing. And ongoing engagement with Community Board 11 and elected officials throughout the process. We see this as an initial touch point. It's very early in the game. We haven't even fully designed the building yet. We don't even have renderings to show, but we thought it was necessary to come and have this initial conversation, and expect that we would be communicating more regularly as this process moves forward. We anticipate that building will be completed. People can turn the keys to the new apartments in about 4 years' time. So quite a ways away.
Yeah, 2030.
Yeah.
Between,
Yeah, closer to the end of 2029, yeah, correct.
Why is it?
More on the funding, I have a bit of on the funding piece. So it'll be funded by the HPD's affordable housing programs with rental subsidies to keep the housing deeply affordable. Hence, people who don't really earn income, they can still apply for this housing. BRC will provide 24/7 on-site property management, maintenance, and security. And we hope to build something that lasts, with care, with intention, and with community at the center. Right now, today, as you recall, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we brought together some of our tenants at other sites to really speak with them and say, hey, what do you like about your building? What do you think would make you feel more comfortable? And they were giving us their notes so that it will really inform our approach to this building to create something that makes people feel comfortable that, this is my home and this is something that I'm happy with. So, once we get further down in the design process, I'm happy to come back, share renderings, get your thoughts. I also want to note that we're going to have a very significant community room in the building, which we're more than happy to partner with the community board with if you guys want to have meetings there, any community socials, that sort of thing. We want to be very community centric, and we want to fully integrate our tenants in the community. And we see ourselves as neighbors. We acquired the land, so we're a stakeholder, and really want what's best for the community. So with that, I'm happy to address any questions to the extent that I can, but those are the very sparse details that I have. We just acquired the land. Nothing has been fully planned out and mapped out, but we're getting there, and we hope to share some more.
I'll call it. So Darren, you had some.
Yes, couple questions. So with the housing, like the type of housing and the community centric approach and all that, and considering the type of the population that you're serving, will these units include furniture in them?
It will include furniture in them.
I know exactly what type of facility you're building, all right? And why is it taking 4 years to build this?
Well, I mean, it takes time to plan and develop and
So,
design.
so this is including like the development plan?
Yes.
Okay, because construction,
From now to opening doors, 4 years.
right, and I mean, it's not a crazy question because I can't remember where I read it, but on average, it's taking more time to build these constructions in New York City than it should. So on average, a building should take 2 years, but it's
Yeah.
been taking the 3 and 4 years. So I just wanted more information about that. That's why I'm asking that. There's a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing is, you talked a little bit about employment services, right? And I can't remember.
For the tenants or the community?
So that's what I want clarification, because I kind of,
As part of our supportive approach, we are going to be providing
Workshop.
Job skill.
workshops for the tenants to, help them tweak their resumes, help them apply for jobs. But on the other side, we're opening up our facility to the community members to apply for jobs at the facility. So in addition to the construction jobs, we want people, to be able to apply, people who live in the community who can walk to work and help build the building. But once the building is completed, we want to be able to host local job fairs as well, so that people in the community can apply for jobs at this residence.
okay, that's what I wanted clarity on. So just to be clear, that the construction process will open up employment to
Yes,
community members over the course of this 4
Correct.
years.
correct.
Okay.
Hi, I have a question.
1 second, Juanita, there's a list.
Okay.
Sorry. I got you when you're ready.
So,
Okay.
Question, yeah, when the building is completed, how many full-time jobs will be there? You're gonna have like a janitor and housekeeping, security,
Yeah,
so how many at one time?
I can't give you a firm number right now.
Okay.
Typically, we have about 30 to 60 full-time jobs at our program.
At that site? Or you're
Across our
not sure?
programs, but I don't know the exact number, but typically it's around 30 to 60 full-time jobs.
So it's not like the, what do you call it, housekeeping, they're not gonna go to each room and like a hotel.
No, it's people's.
Oh,
place.
okay.
Yeah.
And they're gonna sign a lease?
We'll have yes, they're gonna sign a lease.
Okay,
We'll have like maintenance teams so they can, clean communal areas like outside and
hallway, yeah.
hallways and stuff.
Oh, okay, all right, and security?
And we'll have 24 hours,
Well, they,
security cameras and security. Yeah.
there's no curfew on it,
There's no curfew,
just people going in and out any time of day?
Yes, they're home, they can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's good questions. On the job training,
Mhm.
is that going to be provided on site? Next, for example, someone wants to train as an electrician or plumber. Is that, do you offer to send them to a school for that so they can provide them with a construction job so they can be an electrician?
So we can certainly
How does that work?
facilitate that connection. We can determine the best place for them to get that type of training. If that's what they want to do, we can certainly help them identify where they can do that training. If they need to apply for a job, we can sit with them. We can show them how to do a resume. We can, do drills, workshops, like interview workshops, that type of thing. BRC ourselves, we're not going to be training people how to do these trade skills, but we can certainly help point people in the right direction.
All right, one more, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could I ask?
Yep.
How many floors do you plan this to be, the building was completed?
So that's not confirmed, but it seems to be 9
9 floors?
floors, yeah.
Juanita? Juanita?
Hi, I'm here. I'm
Yes.
here. So I have a few questions. Is this a SRO?
It's not an SRO. Every unit will have its own bathroom as well.
Mhm.
At the units will not be large, like 3 bedrooms.
So are they like kitchenettes?
Rodriguez, you could talk about, yes, you could, just like the smaller units you saw at Landing
Yeah.
Road. So smaller units, hence the level of affordability as well. And then the number of units based on the size of the existing building. Yes.
So the lease, is it program fees or is it a lease?
That's a lease.
And then you mentioned about clinics. Is the clinic going to be on site or is it just clinical staff? And if it's a clinic on
Clinical
site,
staff.
just clinical staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, as part of our supportive services, if we have like older folks or something like they need to get to like a medical appointment, we certainly would have a van or something that would be able to facilitate that. We can transport people to their appointments and that sort of thing.
So most of the units are studio or one bedroom?
Yes.
Studios.
Studio, that's one to know.
And then I just have 2 more questions. The population and the age. Which population is this? Is this OMH or is this?
It's the general population.
So for the approval, right? Because I know BRC is a homeless shelter. Is the approval from OMH, DOH, or HUD or HUD?
To clarify, we operate homeless shelters in addition to building affordable housing, safe haven, stabilization sites. So we have a multi-pronged approach to addressing affordability and homelessness, but we're not just a homeless shelter operator.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Alex? Wendy next. Alex?
Hello. I just want to know if, as part of the supportive housing services provided, if there'll be mental health services, and if so, what level of mental health services?
So the 60% of people identified through the city would be determined based on their ability to live independently. So we're not going to have people who have severe mental illnesses living in these units. We're certainly going to have staff who are equipped to deal with any health issue, even health issues, trained in de-escalation, how to manage any issue that might arise. So it's not a situation where we would require somebody to have, you know, we would certainly have like nurse practitioners there, like a psychiatric nurse, for example. But it's not like very high level care.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Wendy.
So I just is going back to the rents. I just want to be clear. So if a person has no income, is it safe to say that these units will have Section 8, project-based Section 8 attached to it?
Yes, yes.
Which is why you're only requesting 30% of the person's income.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I definitely want to see the financials and the team.
Yes. We're happy to get that information.
Come. Quickly, go.
Did, this might be a question for you. I'm not really sure who it's for, but so you guys got this because y'all put in a bid for this land? Like, how did this building get assigned to
How did you win
your?
the bid for the buildings?
Yeah.
So the bank decided to leave and, you know.
Apple Bank decided.
Apple Bank decided to leave and we placed a bid and we won the bid.
Y'all
That's
won
all
the
I-
bid.
Yeah. All I
Okay,
can say about it.
okay.
How much did you pay for the property? Can you say?
That was a record for that.
Oh, you can FOIL that
Yeah.
information.
Mr. Robert Press, you're up next.
Okay, 2 questions. Now, with the new city council law, city money or tax breaks, correct?
I'm sorry?
Say that again, Mr. Press?
There's going to be city tax breaks or city money, a city program included, correct?
I
In
don't
the
know.
finance.
You mean like Section
You're
8?
going
Oh,
to
you
get
mean
city tax breaks, right?
HPD, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're working with
Yeah,
HPD,
yeah.
yes.
So that means then that you have to have 15% homeless in that building since it's a new building.
So some of this, the 60% of the people living in the supportive units would be people who were formerly unhoused.
Okay. And the second one is, what kind of plan do you have for demolition of the building and building of the new building, as far as streets being closed, where the equipment will be?
So that hasn't been fully mapped out. However, when that information does become available, we will certainly provide that to you. Again, this, like, we're not breaking ground in a couple of months. It's going to be probably a year and a half or so before anything even starts happening.
Rich, can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Diana Finch. I'm the chair of the Browns Park East Community Association, which is sort of Pelham Parkway North all the way up through Parkside. And Steve is president of the Pelham Parkway Neighborhood Association, which is Pelham Parkway South.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so we're kind of, you know, related.
Yeah.
Community associations. So my questions are, a lot of them are from our community members. So if someone's income qualifies them to get a room, but then their income goes up, they can still stay, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's all gonna be studio apartments.
Mhm.
And what is the city unit that screens and refers people? And does that unit have a preference like for people from the Bronx?
So as I said at the beginning, I think so the community preference, not necessarily a Bronx preference. There is a community preference. I think right now, the last I heard, it's around, I don't know, it's around 20%.
And that's for the people who need the services, or that's for the low income people?
So that's for like the people in the community applying for housing at the development. So that community preference. So set asides for people already living in the community, in other words. What was the other
So
question?
the people who come in through the program because they need the supportive services
Mhm.
that are referred and evaluated by the city.
Right.
Some city.
Oh, so you're asking if they will
Which
be
city
coming from the
unit?
Bronx?
Yeah, which city unit is it? And are those people, is there a preference for people from the Bronx with that population?
I see. You know, I don't like to give a firm answer if I'm unsure. I'm leaning on, no, there's no
Okay.
preference for that, but Tanya, are you thinking,
I can.
we're gonna follow up
Yeah.
with detailed response to some of the questions that I'm unable to answer.
Okay, and then the last question is from the community. Apple Bank was a beloved institution and people kind of, connected to that building too. And to see it now, all boarded up, empty, it just
Graffiti.
brings everybody down.
Graffiti it up.
Yeah.
If it is gonna be as much as a year or more, or even 6 months until you do the demolition,
Mhm.
everyone is requesting if there could be something, maybe murals or
Yeah.
windows.
So we're actually already talking about putting artwork over like the boarded up windows and doors.
That's a
and-
big
Yeah,
request from the
so,
community.
yeah, we're
It's
actively-
also in a very visible location,
Mhm.
like you see it right away, your eye just goes right to it
Yeah,
from all around.
and we're aware that there's graffiti. I think somebody attempted to paint over it.
There's
But
always
we're-
graffiti at that site.
Yeah,
Especially now.
we are aware of it and we we're having discussions about removing that as soon as possible.
Good.
We're having discussions about putting the artwork up as soon as possible. And to your earlier point about the Apple Bank being a fixture in the community, I want to make it clear that we didn't run it out of town. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that, yeah.
So.
But just sort of the building.
Yeah. And in addition to that, of course, you may have seen we already have security cameras installed, which we are actively monitoring. So we want to make sure that nobody's like going in and doing anything untoward. We want to give our commitment to community safety and security. So we're looking at the building, we're keeping tabs, and we want to make sure that it's not an eyesore until such time we're able to start demolition and construction.
And I'm so glad that you agreed to come and talk to everybody, because I can't tell you the amount of rumor that is floating around.
I know.
Very hard to,
Order, President.
action.
Yeah, sure. One more question. So once the people sign a lease, they move in. What if they don't make that month's rent? A month or two? What if they can't? They're responsible for paying a
Yeah.
rent.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't have the money that month, what happens? You evict them. What happens? They get evicted. What do you do?
They don't get evicted, the housing laws apply.
Yeah.
The same laws that
Let's
would.
let him answer.
Hold on.
Yeah, I mean,
On the record.
that's not a situation that I've encountered at BRC, but we certainly work with our tenants to ensure that they're able to pay their rent. A lot of them have vouchers. So, we work with them to make sure that that's all sorted. But BRC is not going to kick anybody out.
Yeah, no,
It's not legal.
Yeah, I know.
for us
That's why
to-
they say, what if they say, oh, I don't have my rent for this month.
Mhm. No, we'll certainly work with our tenants.
Okay.
Cynthia, let me give you the
So-
list. Go ahead.
Rich,
Yep.
so will tenants be recertified every year? I'm assuming so, since Section 8, well, not, it's project-based Section 8, but I'm assuming that
Can
recertification.
you just sign their leases every year?
Well, no, like there's a recertification process. So, usually with affordable housing, especially if you're dealing with affordable housing and tax credits, every year, like a person pays taxes, every year you're recertified, where the tenant would have to come in, provide, if they're working, pay stubs, employment letter, you're recertifying the unit every year. Because that would answer your question. So normally within Section 8,
What is this?
I'm assuming project-based Section 8 is gonna has similar pathways, is that once your income changes, you have to report that to the project property manager. And they will have to formally make that change within the Section 8 guidelines. So, you may wind up not paying anything towards rent if your income changes significantly. But I'm curious if recertifications are going to be
It's
involved.
actually a good primer for me. I'm not.
Yeah, it does
I've
happen.
noticed that.
If your income comes in at a lower level, you could technically pay zero on rent, and
Right,
Section 8
right.
would pay the rest of it.
Yeah.
For example.
Wow.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming and shedding some light. Like Diane said,
Oh, yeah.
there are rumors going around. And I always like to, clarify those rumors, right? I just, there are no more questions, right? Are there any more questions?
Yeah, can I ask one more?
I think.
Yes, there are questions in there.
Did Malcolm?
Yeah, well, Malcolm hasn't asked, you have one.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's not much
I
of
want
a,
you to finish.
it's not much of a question, more of like a statement.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when I came into the bid, one of the things that I did was I ran all the records, transactions for every single property, and I saw this one. Reached out to BRC and they were responsive. They were transparent and they let us know immediately what their plans were.
Mhm.
And, you know, they were very proactive in talking to elected officials and coming here. Just to let you guys know, like, that property is a C44, right? Zoning. It hasn't been used quite a while, so they own this property as a right. You know what I mean? And you guys all know, once they own property as a right, they can pretty much do
Whatever they
as
want.
please.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact that they're coming into this room and having this conversation with you guys and being transparent shows that they have the intent to be a good neighbor.
Well,
Yeah.
if I may build on that, I think
Yeah.
my role didn't exist before last February. And they brought me in because our CEO felt like it was necessary to deepen our relationships with the community. Even in cases where, you know, it's as of right, and we don't necessarily need the approval of, you know, the community board or the elected officials. We want to be a good neighbor, and we have at BRC, we have something called a good neighbor policy. We want to be good stewards to our neighbors. We don't want to be nuisances. We want to be able to live in harmony and coexist in harmony with our neighbors. So it's necessary for every project that we undertake to go to the community directly, talk about what it is we plan on doing, and really get their buy-in, whether or not we need their approval or we would like your support because we see ourselves as your neighbor. We're part of the community now. And we're happy that we were able to give a tour to some of the board members. And we look forward to continuing to speak with you as we move along. As I shared with Cynthia, you know, once we have renderings of the site, we're happy to come and show more pictures and, you know, the design spaces and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, keep asking a question. The leases, only 1 year, that's it. The same tenant can keep on signing 1 year.
Yeah,
It's over,
so
no,
this is
no.
literally your forever home if you want it to be.
So you're not going over two. It's always over.
I don't know if it's a 1 year. or
But the
2
same
years,
tenant
but-
can continue to sign.
The same tenant.
next 10 years.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, last comment question.
I just to Kyle's point, I mean, you know, in the interest of collaboration, I think it's important that everyone is aware, once again, that we've been extended a particular courtesy by GRC to hear their plans. And, you know, they're trying to involve all of us in some way, shape, or form, which is more than we've seen done, you know, in many other instances. And so that's appreciated. Our approval is not necessary. It's not something, you know, a part of the process for BRC. You know, we went on a walkthrough to one of the properties and, you know, I'm sure that a lot of people automatically say, well, they just cleaned it up because you guys were coming over. And that's fine. Maybe that is the case, but at the end of the day, if it was a poorly managed property, you could put all the lipstick on that pig that you want to, and you can still tell that it's a, you know, it's a poorly run, you know, property. So I think, my conscience sometimes grapples with some of the feelings that are encountered in programs such as this when it comes to things like affordable housing. There are so many misconceptions and such confusion, I guess, when it comes to properties that are for people who are having a hard time financially. And, you know, to me, it's there, but for the grace of God go I. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm grateful that I don't have those difficulties. But, you know, an apartment, it's got a lease. And, you know, I think we should just try to open up our minds a little more in terms of tolerance. That's all. I don't want to be on a soapbox, but, you know, I just think we should all just try to
Open-minded.
be open-minded, yeah, thank you.
I guess another one? Sure. Out of the 100 units, will the same tenants stay there like for 10 years, or does a unit open up if someone leaves and then you gotta,
Well, if somebody leaves,
Approve
if
of the
someone
unit?
leaves, then,
how often does that happen?
Well,
We'll find out.
we'll find out. But I mean, ideally, people can be stable enough to stay there forever, right?
How
That's
does
ultimately.
growth work? How does growth work with the units? For example, if someone goes there single, right, gets a studio, if the families have developed, how do you manage that, or what is the advice that you may give, or what happens during that process?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody has a partner, a family, we certainly can't tell them that they can't move their partners in. In terms of growth, I mean,
I'm just curious.
that's a good question. I mean, we're not gonna kick anybody out, but certainly if somebody says, hey, I've outgrown this space, can you guys work with me to identify something that suits my needs?
Since you have other housing units, other places.
Yeah, I mean, you can like apply for BRC housing through BRC, but we can certainly work with them to identify something that's more suitable to their growing needs.
And you will work with them?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So is there a team that selects the tenants based on the requirements? Like, for example, if I put in a housing application, they can just be like, they don't want to give it to me, right?
BRC has nothing to do with that. They're like, we're not reviewing.
Is it HUD that is choosing the
HPD.
HPD, whatever?
Yeah.
They're choosing the tenants. So BRC, meaning your staff,
We don't
doesn't have
review any.
anything to do with the tenants that go inside this building.
Right.
That is all left to HPD.
Right.
Very telling.
All right.
Rich, I have a question.
Just one thing.
I just out of curiosity, I hate to say that the model reminds me of an SRO-ish type thing. I know it's supportive housing. I know it's supportive housing. But why not do mixed income or mixed, to kind of balance balancing with the neighborhood or going with the neighborhood. So you have certain units for what your target population is, and then you may have another certain amount of units for like HASA, and then you have other units. Is it because the lot is a small lot, relatively small lot?
Well, there are a couple
or-
of things. It's because it's a small lot, and then there's a particular need in the city for deeply affordable housing, which isn't to say that that's not an approach that BRC is taking, because we are actively working on other projects that would have that type of mix. But because there's a need, we have to facilitate that need.
This is a need for studio.
But it's a need for families, right? Quote unquote low income families. This is servicing an individual.
Right. And then
I'm just curious. Again, I need to see the model.
Yeah.
I need to see the
yeah, of course.
finances.
And to your point, it's right.
As
It does sort of align with an SRO approach, given the size of the units. So yeah, there is a need for affordable housing for families as well. I can see, and BRC trying to help fill that gap as well. But there's also a need for people who are formerly homeless and struggling with various other issues to be able to get stable housing. So we need to fill that gap as well.
And
that's
let's
our
put a
approach.
pin in it there. It's 4 years away. I'm sure you'll be back next year.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna have to call you back once a year to come to this.
A couple of months.
Yeah, sure. If you want to come twice in a year, that's great. I think this is the first of many meetings with the BRC folks. We thank you for coming, Kyle. It's really, you're ahead of the curve. No one ever does this. That's why you get so many questions.
Yeah.
That's not everyone does this.
So Kyle, I know that there were a few things, kind of, to follow up
Yeah.
on.
Or using
Do you
that.
think it'll be possible for you to just email either
Of course.
Jeremy or Rich and when,
Yeah.
the chairs of the committees?
Yes, yes.
And Jeremy, so that then, we can
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Trying to follow up with you guys this
Yeah.
week with all the responses to those questions that I wasn't able to respond to.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. You can
Thank
stay
you
if
so
you
much.
want, but we're gonna move on with the agenda.
Oh, sure.
You can talk to them on the side.
Okay.
Yep. Moving on. Jeremy, we had the St. Raymond Avenue demapping application. I don't know much about this.
I'm sorry, what should you say?
St. Raymond Avenue demapping application.
Oh.
Is Jeremy there?
Oh, God. Jeremy?
Jeremy, are you there?
What does that mean?
Richard, is this you?
It is.
All right, Richard, thank you. If you want to introduce yourself. And just,
Sure, hi.
Yeah, let us know what this is, what the application's about.
Sure, Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel. We are representing Joe Galito as well as Steve Squateri, who are the owners and applicants for the demapping. I'm joined by Fan Baton from my office, who has a presentation, as well as Christina Zapansky, who's the environmental consultant here. So what is this about? This is a demapping application for a portion of St. Raymond's Avenue between Blondell and Waters Avenues. And so the applicant here, and we're going to show you some maps to make it a little bit clear about what the property is that's involved, owns 4 lots. And one of them is on one side of St. Raymond Avenue, and the other 3 are on the other side of St. Raymond Avenue. St. Raymond Avenue is one of these paper streets. So it's included on the city map, and it shows up as a street, but it is unbuilt. And so applicants are able to apply to the city in the form of city planning to have these properties demapped. And eventually, if successful, are able to, after an appraisal process, purchase these from the city. The community board has done this several times before, and we can show you on the maps that follow. Most recently on Ponton Avenue in 2014. That was the most recent one that was completed. So we'll show you that in a minute. So the portion of the DMAP street that we would acquire is about 5,000 square feet. And what it would do would be to enable the applicant to have a contiguous parcel, not separated, so that to the extent in the future they wanted to use it for some contiguous type of use, development, et cetera, they'd be able to do so. The total lot area for St. Raymond Avenue here is roughly 34,500 square feet. So almost 30,000 square feet is within the train yards that is owned by the city, and the applicant here would only be seeking a purchase of this small part adjacent to their parcels. The next slide shows on the zoning map what is in the circled area where this project is. Again, it's in an M11 district next to the train yards, and there's no approvals that we're asking for here in order to build. In fact, we don't really have any current plans to develop the property. Any development here would be as of right, meaning that it would still be M11. The applicant would go in to Department of Buildings and they could file for plans and materials that reflected whatever is permitted under M11. So while we come to the community board many times for actions like rezonings or variance applications, that's not this. We're just seeking the opportunity to demap and own this portion so that we can move forward and have one contiguous property and merge that into our lot. The next slide is the tax map, which shows you in the blue outline the area to be demapped. Again, this kind of spans the train yard for roughly 30,000 square feet. That small white portion on the lower left of the blue dotted area, that's the portion that would be demapped and potentially purchased by the applicant. The next slide is an aerial photo. And you'll note that that area that's highlighted in Fan, is that in pink? Oh no, in purple. Right. So the area highlighted in purple is the one where we're seeking a demapping. There's other demappings that have gone up and down the train yard, including the ones that are in pink below, which have already been demapped. But this one would be, an additional street, again, unopened, not used for anything, and not really. There's no real intention to open it, given the fact that the train yard runs through the street and DOT has no intention of opening it.
I just want to add, Richard, sorry,
yeah.
that the purple just shows these paper streets that Richard discussed. So if you look at a map, you're not going to see these streets. It's just on the paper map. And what you see down below were paper streets that have the pink overlay were already demapped. The process just wasn't finished yet. The map wasn't filed, but it went through the Euler process, and these were already demapped. Sorry, Richard.
Thanks, Van.
No problem.
So the next slide is the demapping plan, which shows in the event that this was demapped, that dotted area of St. Raymond's is what would be demapped and would come off the city map. Again, right now they wouldn't open it because of not only a grade change there, which is pretty severe, but also the train yards running right through St. Raymond Avenue. The next slide I think is the most telling, which is the prior actions in this area that have been demapped as well as the current one. So you can see highlighted in red is Raymond Avenue. That's the one that would be currently taken off the map. Below that is Halpern Avenue, which was eliminated in 1988. Below that is Roberts Avenue, which was eliminated in 1996. Below that is Ponton Avenue, which was eliminated in 2014. And to the north is Melipin Avenue, which was eliminated in 1997. Both Ponton Avenue and McAlpin Avenue were both approved by this community board. Ponton Avenue by a vote of 28-1, and McAlpin Avenue, sorry, by a vote of 27-0. I think that's really all the presentation. Again, this would allow the applicant, and it would not sell. This action is not for the sale of that property to the applicant. What this applicant's doing right now is just to demap the street. The city would still need to enter into a demapping agreement whereby they would do an appraisal of the property. And after that appraisal, within 6 months, to the extent that we could come to terms, would sell that property to the applicant. After which point the mapping agreement would be filed with the city, and that small portion of street would come off the map. So that's really pretty much all the application, and we're happy to answer any questions.
All right, if we have any questions in-house or online, I'll give people seconds to digest that.
No, quick question.
Go ahead.
How long would the mapping take about the whole process?
So it's a good question, because these things take years. You know, the applicant itself filed certain documentation for this demapping back in 2019. It's been 6 years since that's happened. I would tell you that environmental review, and I know Christina's with us from GCA Environmental, that process, typically there's maybe 2, 3, or 4 revisions to the environmental assessment statement. This one, I think that we're on version 11. So the answer is that most of the work required, which takes years, has already been accomplished. On a going forward basis, there'd be an appraisal done, and then there would be a contract of sale. And so it's possible right now, to the extent that this approval was granted, that the contract of sale would be executed within, let's say, a year, and that the updated maps would be filed after that. But I will tell you that sometimes the process takes so long that the applicant loses interest and doesn't even move forward. And so you have these paper streets which have been approved to be demapped, but have never been, actually the maps have never been filed. But here, the applicant would want to move forward, and we're assuming that within the next year or two, even though it does take a long time, the property would eventually be sold.
Now, who does the appraisal? Is the appraisal done by a couple appraisers, or just one appraiser that's chosen by the bank? Or is it for the city?
It's typically, since the owner of the property is the city of New York, typically there's one appraisal that's done by an independent appraiser. As long as you get an appraisal within 6 months of closing, that appraisal is good. So it's just, you know, I think the city basically has a list of approved appraisers, and one of them is selected and performs the appraisal.
Okay. Any other questions in here in the house? If not, moving online to Alex. You're up next.
Yeah, I'd just like to know how long the applicant has owned their property, and also what kind of business is currently being conducted there.
Sure. So the applicant obtained title to these properties back in 2002. So they've owned the property for over 20 years. And the fact that there's kind of this intervening street bed in the middle means that they've got 2 parcels. There's a 3,000 square foot parcel and a 10,000 square foot parcel. And so to the extent that they wanted to develop anything on both parcels, they're unable to do so because of this intervening lot. So, so they've been at this demapping for a really long time. It takes the city, we do a lot of work with the city and a lot of these applications that go through public review. These demappings really by far take the most amount of time. So, so they've owned it for over 20 years, but have been at this demapping now for several years.
Mr. Press, you're up next.
It's interesting that there's only 25 feet of frontage on the single property, yet it looks like about 250,000 square foot of overlay on the railroad yards. So why is it so important that this street be demapped? Is it for an entry to the overlay of the railroad yards?
No. So I think, Van, if you want to put the map back up, it might be helpful just to show. So the portion that the city would obtain pursuant to this demapping, they already own it. But the portion that the city would maintain is the area that's yellow and surrounded by the blue dotted area. So, and you can see it there. It's the portion within the train yards. That's about 29,500 feet. There's a fence, and then there's the property that's owned by Joe and Steve. And so there's no entry that's proposed there. It basically would remain a fence. And the basic benefit here is that they can't really develop one contiguous property right now because it's 3,000 square feet, a 5,000 square foot gap, and 10,000 square feet. In the event that A, the demapping happens, and B, that they're able to enter into a mapping agreement with the city, then they would have one contiguous parcel, merge that into their lot, and be able to develop that. But there's no entry into the city's property from there, much like the other demappings, which were approved by the community board on Ponton and McAlpin. Basically, the property stops at that border, and then the remainder of that border is just the train yards.
Is there a plan to build over the train yards?
No plan to build it all. Not only is there no plan, but we wouldn't have any opportunity to do that because we only own that little white stub. So that's
Okay,
so
because
there's
I'm surprised that it was included then. That's why.
Yeah, honestly, what the city's really getting out of this is they get they get a free demapping. The applicant's responsible for all the costs, legal, environmental, filing, etc., and by far has the smallest amount of lot area included in the demapping, but yet still the city, makes the applicant responsible for payment of all fees, including for the city's property. So it's
one final question. So with this additional 50-foot frontage that the street has, your total frontage would be what, about 135 square feet, 135 feet on the frontage on Blondell, correct?
Yeah, I think that's roughly correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So the mapping now, so the zoning map now will now include this demapped street, right? So then the lot area is now can include that parcel that's been demapped, right?
Correct. The lot area that
Is now
and again,
increased. So for future FAR, it can be incorporated.
Correct. They would be able to use that if they went to DOB and filed plans.
Right.
They would be able to use that portion as for their lot area.
Because
Which would only be 5,000 square feet.
Right, because now you're merging that property into.
Correct.
So it's now your zoning map, your lot includes that portion. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. So, okay, so for next steps, our leadership meeting is on Monday, the 23rd, and then we can vote on this the 30th, which is our full board meeting, just FYI on timeline. And this is our last meeting, so we'll definitely have a vote on this before our year's over. All right?
Summer break.
Fantastic. We
All
very
right.
much appreciate it. You just let us know if you need any further presentation at any of the other hearings. We're happy to make a presentation. If not, we're happy to attend.
Okay, sounds good. We'll let you know.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
I'm going to move down to the gallery session. Anyone want to comment, question, say anything? Open it up. I think it's 2 minutes per speaker. Raise your hand internally here, anyone?
I mean,
Going once, going twice, so. Anybody online? Press, I'm assuming your hand is from the other thing.
I'll say one thing.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
This, I know BRC has taken up a lot of the attention
Yeah.
on the conversation, but I think that you guys should take your attention towards the other lot. What
do you mean? Which one?
21 something White Plains
The
Road.
one next to the.
West.
Next to this, discount store, yes.
So that
What's the address, 21?
Well, which one? Which one?
Next to Biofinity.
Oh,
2111.
2111.
yeah,
2011, yeah, yeah.
Web
that property owner has not been entirely receptive or responsive.
Honest.
Well, I can't say honest, I have spoken to them, but that's the issue.
Yeah,
But, you know, I think that you guys should take, as I understand you're gonna do due diligence on BRC, but I do think that as I see that they're starting to do some type of construction in that lot. And I would love to partner with the community board to provide some scrutiny and some type of attention in order to get that property owner to respond and to meet with you guys and at the community entirely to figure out what they're putting in there. So they are also a good neighbor. I think
it's a private owner.
it's a private owner. So I think the last thing that we need is another property owner who comes in and they just treat the area like it's whatever, right? I'm personally, I'm tired of that. I think you guys are tired of that. I think the community entirely is tired of that. And I think that we need to compel that owner to come and speak to us and let us know what their plans are and how we can tailor that property to be beneficial to the immediate community.
Is it being developed right now?
Yeah, they put a door in and they're looking about to start excavating.
Did you look the building?
I did.
Any filing?
Yeah, they have filings.
Yeah.
For what?
120
Units.
Plus there's gonna be housing.
housing and a community center at the bottom.
So
it's going to be
Also, but you're building it
as of right. Right.
You just had to convince them to come to talk about it.
So, Rich, Malcolm, I hear what you're saying, Malcolm, and I take that into consideration. To be honest, there are a lot of questions with BRC. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and sugarcoat it. It sounds like an SRO. It sounds very specific. And having been in the business for over 20 years, programs change. You know, the names of the programs change, but things are the same, right? So we're paying attention to that. We're paying attention to the other stuff. Anything that goes on in this community that has to deal with land use and housing, we're going to pay attention to, and we're going to ask those questions. We're not going to just sign off on something or give our approval on something.
Well, I mean,
so I understand your position, but there are a lot of questions.
I mean, to be
around
fair,
that project.
To be fair, I understand Wendy, but Wendy, BRC doesn't need approval. And
that's fine, but we need to be clear on what goes on in this community.
And I agree with you, and I absolutely agree with you. But what I'm saying is that the development that is happening next to the Planet Fitness has not received any attention at all. And that is the one that I think that we
Malcolm makes
it compelled.
Yeah, he makes a good point. So
just to quash every side, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think is the answer here. I think we could pay attention to BRC and 2111 White Plains Road. I think the next steps, Wendy, is let's get the financing information for BRC and take it a step at a time. I welcome Kyle for coming here, and I think he wants to be our partner. So every quarter we could check in with him and see how it's going. I think that's how we kind of get comfortable with this idea and this kind of project. But on the same wavelength, let's investigate 2111 and see what's going on there. Malcolm, I don't know how to compel these folks. Maybe we can have a conversation about that, because that would be great if we could.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that a lot of these property owners, they come in and they get away because nobody's paying attention. And to be honest, like a lot of the discourse that I've seen on BRC has been very problematic discourse. I'm very honest with you. And let me finish. I understand.
You know how it is.
Understand. But what I'm saying is that the other property owner is coming in. They have been responsible to me and I'm the bid, right? And I need to partner with you guys to be able to put some type of pressure on some property owners to be responsive to the community.
You're
And
right.
if that property goes up, that is a, what, 6-story property, 9-story property that goes up without us saying anything.
Right.
And I really do need your help in bringing them to the table.
120 units, right?
Yes,
That makes sense.
they have to come to the table somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And if they won't take it from me, then the community board has the leverage and the influence to be able to bring them to the table.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Juanita, you want to say something? I don't know if you did.
No, I don't.
Okay, no, just asking.
No. Oh, you know what? I did want to mention something. I noticed we have a lot of in the community, especially probably towards my area, like Williamsbridge and Allerton area. There's a lot of like abandoned homes, and I'm watching people go into these abandoned homes a lot, and I'm not sure.
Like at what block?
So like right now, I just wrote down an address, 915 Arnold Avenue. That's between Bronxwood and I want to say Williamsbridge.
915.
It's literally right on a corner.
No, Arno. I know.
Arno, right?
Arno?
Yeah, Arnold Avenue.
I know which one. Okay, I know Arno by Popeyes.
And it's literally on a corner and it's abandoned, but
Yeah.
I'm watching people hop the gate.
Oh,
going
really?
in and out. And
Have
then
you called the police on that? Oh, no.
I reported it to 311. Because what happened is one day I was parking and I watched the police drive right by, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, they wasn't paying attention, obviously. And speaking of police, I know this is probably not this type of meeting, and maybe something that we could bring probably at our full board, but more police presence needing to be around in this area. I mean, my car was broken into in April twice.
Wow. Okay.
And it was not just my car; it was a bunch of cars, especially when people are I guess probably when the new constructions are happening. Like there's 2 buildings, I believe, on Wallace Avenue right next to each other being built.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're parking your cars there, they're getting broken into right there.
Joe's a good contact for that. So is Allerton and Williamsbridge, is that in that area?
Yes.
Okay. We'll bring it up at leadership and then bring it up again at the full board.
Okay, thanks. I'll keep you guys posted about anything I hear about the 915 Arnold Avenue as well.
Interesting. I just did a quick Google search.
Yeah.
And I don't have the date on it, but it was a short sale for $225, and it says this is a short sale property, have squatters, do not disturb, needs plumbing, has structural damage, electrical
says that?
problems, property flooded recently.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So it says it.
It's like on the New York State MLS.com.
Wow. Okay.
Oh gosh. Just FYI, the project on Boston Road, Fine Fair project is starting to be constructed.
Is that 2560?
Yes, next to Popeyes.
Nice.
They're
I saw this.
they're doing
I saw the
stuff.
wall and
They're
everything.
bringing
Yeah,
things
I
in.
pass it every day.
They're bringing things in, so there's movement there. FYI.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
To Wendy's point, there is and to what Cynthia said too, like I have a sensitivity around people who are in need, right? Because I've been unemployed and all types of things, right? With always having the ability to become employed. So we don't know what situations these individuals are coming from. So, yes, I always had that in mind, but we cannot deny the fact that this neighborhood over the years, and I've been living in this neighborhood for, I don't know, what, 40 minus 8, 32 years. 32 years. And before, there was Woolworth, and there were these like quality stores that you can go in and get your school supplies, a uniform, shoes, things like that. And now everything is a dollar store and some low-level bullshit store. And the whole quality of the neighborhood has just plummeted. And so it's not about us trying to like keep people out who are in need. It's about us trying to bring the level of quality of our community back up because it has gone down. So I just, even though this dude, everybody's framing it like he did us a favor, appreciate that for him coming in and having a conversation with us and trying to build community relations. That's great. But I don't agree with us being silent or dumbing down our questions when we are trying to bring the quality of this neighborhood up, not just around housing, but around sanitation, et cetera, et cetera. And if we need to fight hard and, you know, drill people about what's going on, we just want to know.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying the other one needs to be true too.
I know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have brought that up.
Both things are true.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I think maybe you missed everything that I said.
No, I said
but-
about that.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm
sorry about that.
No worries. Anyone else? Go ahead.
So two things, one for the Fine Fair building. Is there a way that you could request another meeting with the developers? Because apparently the plans changed from the time they did their last presentation.
Well, I mean, remember when Ted said they don't have to come back. Like, we can
Did we
ask.
ask them?
Yeah, we did twice.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can ask, so I'll request them come back.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Always change.
And
Yeah.
then the other is that at our last VPECA meeting, we talked a lot about housing. And it was really stressed the importance of, for older housing where you have maintenance issues, call 311, report to 311, and send your 311 complaint, a copy of it, to your city council person. And we also talked a little bit about having meetings with HPD where they come in for a day to someone's office, and people who have issues, like 311 complaints still open, issues with how they've been addressed, can come and talk with the HPD person. And that just sounded like exactly what we need. So maybe for the early fall.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
not a housing, not to speak at a housing meeting.
Yeah.
But to come.
to have
into
like
the
a office hours.
Yes, exactly.
And they said yes to that? I'm asking.
Yeah, people have done it, like some of the city council.
Okay.
people have Done it.
All right.
More in the public buildings.
Yeah, we tried DOB, but
I tried to get them at a public meeting.
yeah, right, they're just not, right, they're
They don't come out nine.
right?
They
Okay,
do not come out.
that's what they said to us, they don't want to come.
Well, they went over to the assemblyman's office, Carl, like a couple weeks ago.
favor.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, but no, they wouldn't.
They're coming.
Public meeting.
They've been there before.
Yeah, no, they don't want to, we've tried.
DOB, no,
Yeah,
I got
DOB.
like 10
They have,
contacts.
they have a liaison.
They don't come out.
They have a liaison.
I know, but he said he
I
would,
got
come-
that.
he said he would come and train the staff on DOB now, but then he wouldn't come here and do office hours.
We mean the office.
Like sit here and show folks.
They don't come after 5, they don't come after 5.
No,
Yeah.
no one's gonna.
They do not come out after 5 with DOB.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah, no, we
I tried.
Anyone else? Any question, comments before we move on to old business? Because we have a guest for the Starbucks in Gun Hill Road who has a comment, question, presentation. Anyone else? All right, moving on. We're having emotions because we don't have quorum. Go ahead. Elise. You're on
Gotta
mute.
unmute.
Can't hear you.
Gotta unmute her. You.
Oh, no, she is on mute. Hold on.
You gotta
Try,
unmute her.
try again.
No.
Oh, I can't. It's her computer.
No, she's unmuted. I can't hear her.
Her computer has to say yes to the microphone thing. That's what it's saying.
No.
Try that
Yeah,
again, Miss.
You're good. You're good. You're good. No,
No.
I lost you again.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hi. So I'm gonna just do it like this. You can still hear me, right? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. So Jeremy called and asked that I attend your meeting and explain the situation. So I met with your board in April asking for support for a Board of Standards and Appeals application. When you file, the first thing you do is go to the community board and see if they have any comments or concerns and ask for their support. On June 10th, I met with the BSA and they asked if you
if your board is supporting this application or waiving or whatever you're choosing to do. I said I would follow up with all of you. And so they asked that you either support it, oppose it, or sorry, I live by all the hospitals, or waive. However you feel about this project, nothing is really changing. It's just
Did we not vote on this? Jeremy, did we not talk about this at the last board meeting or no? We did. Are we not on? You know what?
We did. Wait, Rich, hold on.
Yeah.
We did discuss it. They came, they presented. It was very early stages. We didn't have any questions concerning this. And we did say for clarification, because I know Jeremy spoke to me today and he said, Cynthia, you and him were a little confused on it. But for clarification, what we said was, as you get updates, please update us. That's what
we can
meant.
update you, but the BSA process works is you go first to the community board, and then the board of standards and appeals reads whatever your recommendations are, whether you support it or oppose it, and they ask that your board, that's the first step, and so they can make recommendations to us based on whatever the community board.
Okay, so that would be, and as I said to Jeremy today, since that is your ask of us, that's why I requested that you come to the meeting today to formally ask that.
Yeah, so I'm here. I formally ask if it's still going to be an 18-car queuing and a Starbucks, and if that is something you like, or if you have any recommendations for any of the plans or anything you'd like to see, please put that in your recommendation.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick Q&A just because some folks maybe weren't here last time. But so they're building a Starbucks where the old diner was on Gun Hill Road. Okay.
Yeah, and I could try to share the screen if they want to see it.
Yeah, go ahead, share the screen. That'll be
So
great.
she presented last time, but we'll go through it quickly now. Just share.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All that.
Here's what I.
By the Home Depot.
Can you see that?
I see it.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll zoom in.
What kind of Starbucks restaurant?
Yeah, and so there's going to be 2 buildings here, but we're asking the board of standards and appeals for the drive-through portion of it. And we would have an 18-car queuing. You have to have at least 10 cars. And that is why we're here. It's because of the queuing. Yeah.
So where was it? The old parking lot was where again? Over in Eli, right?
This was okay. I can try to bring up maps.
No, it's fine. No,
don't do it.
That's fine.
It's okay.
So folks, I think you all remember what this is, just why that they're asking for a vote on this. So Elise, just FYI, we'll vote on this fully at the full board, which is on the 30th.
And I can come to the full board and present it to everyone so they understand it, that it's not a problem. I told Jeremy I'm free.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So when you say eating and drinking establishment, what's that?
It's a Starbucks.
Just a Starbucks?
Starbucks?
Yeah. Good have it.
It's going to be a Starbucks with an 18-car queuing.
Okay. Cool. Very good.
Thank you, Elise.
Thank you so much.
Any comments, questions? No? All right. Thank you for your time.
No problem. I'll see you on the 30th. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah, come to the 30th. That'd be great.
Okay, thank you. Is that in real life or in virtually?
It's real life.
Okay, cool. Doesn't matter. Just wanted to
It's
know.
live, yeah. You can either do Zoom or you could come in person, up to you.
Okay, whatever your board prefers, but I'll give Jeremy a call.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any new business? I don't think so, right? We're good. Motion to adjourn?
Yes. Second.
Thank you.
Motion, second.
All right, anyone opposed? And abstained? So moved. Meeting adjourned at 7:33 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Good job. I like what you said. I hate it.